because Chai and I are on a journey of discovering what it means to live our souls. And we wanted to reach out to people who inspire us and who we see are working in their life. Like, they're not just here just to live, they're here because they want to really live their soul and find out what that means. So I would love to hear what it means to you to live your soul. What does living your soul mean?
It's a loaded question for sure. And it's been a recent journey and process for me to even figure out that I have a soul. To live your soul is to recognize that you're connected to something that is limitless, that is infinite in its nature, that is not bound by any boxes or constrictions or borders that may be holding you back. To live your soul is to actually take the time to understand what creates, or not what creates, but what is uniquely your own. To live your soul is to search for what lights you up from the inside out. I think often we feel born into all the systems that can define what that is for us, or tell us what it needs to look like to live, or what it needs to, look like, where it needs to be, how it needs to look, who it needs to be with. And getting in touch with your soul is to understand that, yes, those things may be beautiful and inherently good, but that there's more to discover that is who you are. And that journey is not anything that anybody else can prescribe or put onto you. And the second you realize that, the second you're liberated. And you become infinite, you become limitless. I mean, it's a daily practice to actually step into that, to understand that your life is your journey and it's nobody else's. And there's so many times I have to go through the internal dialogue of like, whoa, me holding myself back in fear of anything, but mainly in fear of like approval or pleasing other humans, like just going through like the dialogue of like in 120 years, if I meet with God and it's like, you didn't become all you could be and all you wanted to explore because of other humans, but like, whose life are you living? Whose life did I give you to live? It's your own, it's your personal souls. And it's a struggle and it's a reminder constantly, because we all get in our own ways and we allow other things to get in our own way. And like, the definition of being infinite or limitless or unbound is to break beyond those barriers and to discover really what's at the seat of your existence, what is at the core of who you are, what your soul is. So to live your soul is to go on that exploration, and that in and of itself is infinite. Like, you'll never get to this is, I mean, you know, maybe you get closer to understanding your mission, your purpose, what you were brought here uniquely to give to the universe and give to the people around you and just give to your own life. But I think that also is constantly evolving. That also doesn't have limits. That also is infinite in its own nature. So it's really going on the journey. And I know that there's like all these hallmark sayings, like it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But like when you're living that and you understand like in the core what those words mean, you recognize the fact that like it's an evolution of self if you're listening. So, and that may change and that may develop and that may evolve, and like that's okay. Like, at least for me, it's really getting comfortable with the fact that like, yeah, I used to do like my life once was all about dance, and my life was all about spin, that my life was all about fitness, and my life was all about yoga, that my life was all about and at first I got nervous in terms of like, oh no, I don't have a stake in the ground. Like, what's mine? What am I defining myself by? Like, who am I? And it was actually like a teaching from, I think it might have been Rav Kook, but I don't remember, that my teacher Riva was giving over, that essentially like, if you can't attach yourself to one thing, don't get nervous, don't get anxious by that. Like, your mission in this lifetime is to collect all the sparks from all the different things that you've touched in order to light so many other people up, to create pathways and different avenues to connect to other people from all those different facets of your own being. And you know, it's a process for me not to get tripped up by, it needs to look like this, I need to have a stake in the ground in that, and why didn't I give myself more time for that so I could be a professional in that, or like own that thing. But I'm infinite, and if I really believe that I have a soul that is a part of a divine source, that is infinite in its nature, that is boundless, that is it's generating at every moment, it's evolving, it's creating, it's shifting, it's not able to be defined by one thing. So really taking comfort in that and giving myself more meaning through variation that speaks to me, that doesn't look like one thing but many. I don't know, I don't know if that answered it or, helped, but.
Yeah, I love, it's like you're giving yourself permission to say, I am more than just a soul cycle teacher. I have so much to offer to the world, and that is not what's going to ignite my spark for 120 years. And if I don't have it, I still have me.
Yeah.
I still have me, and I'm powerful. Well.
Yeah, and it's also just understanding that, like, it was like 2 years ago that I found out that I had a soul. Like, literally it was like a revelation. And what allowed me to discover that was, yes, a lot of pain and process, and falling to somewhere that was dark. But, and we could get into like, maybe that's a necessity in order to come back up out of that, and the beautiful process and the growth and the recognition of our spirit from that. But it was as simple as understanding, like, I went into a deep meditation, and for the first time, you know, I was somebody that was always running around, always busy, always social, this thing, that thing, this thing. Like, if I was ever still, I was being unproductive. If I was ever not engaging with somebody, I was bored, or, you know, like FaceTime, call, whatever, class, teaching. And I was never decisive. I could never know what I wanted. It was just like, you know, always in chaos. And for the first time, and through meditation, I was still, and I was quiet, and I had to decide if I was staying where I was in Costa Rica or if I was leaving, and it was like such a turmoil internally. And for the first time, I like heard the answer from within, and it was like the most blissful moment of my life, where I was like, whoa, I have a guiding source inside of myself that could actually direct me on this journey called life, me to me, and like I contain that all in myself, and I don't need to constantly be searching for it everywhere else with like a chicken without a head. And it was like, I thought I got a new lease on life. Like, that's how powerful it was. And like everybody, you know, there's like self-love, self-care, all these things. Like, what do we mean by that? Like, what are we trying to get at? What does that mean to love oneself? And I think for me, and it's still a work in progress, and I'm rediscovering it, but from that moment, I was like, whoa, like to sit with, to find stillness, to sit with, to then listen to then hear, to then trust, and then to honor that thing that you hear, that's love. And that's self-love, because you're actually allowing that compass of self to navigate you forward. And when you could give to that self, right? Like nourish that self, listen to that self, build up that self. Yes, it's a work, it's continuous work, because I too fall into bouts of doubt and not listening and getting off my path, or not doing the things that I need to do to stay grounded and centered and to tune in, and I don't take the time to find stillness or meditate or journal, and like, yeah, I do that all, but when I am in a place where like I'm doing maintenance around my self-care and my self-attunement, again, that you recognize the fact that almost like anything is possible. When you're navigating from that space of love and potential, you are infinite. So yeah. Mm-hmm.